Hello friend, have you ever gone yarn shopping at a local yarn shop and you're used to these types of yarns, these little formats, and then you come across a beautiful yarn skein that looks like this, but you have no idea how to take it from this to a ball or a cake? That's what I'm going to help you with today. So I have a mini here that I'm going to be demonstrating with. This is in the exact same format that a larger version of it is, but I'm going to use a mini because it's going to be quicker and easier to show you. So let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, to start with, you're going to want to locate the end of the yarn that looks like this. So you'll have a twisty top up here. You don't want to start there. You want to start here at the bottom and insert your thumb, kind of following this twist here. It kind of looks like a tiger tail donut if you've ever had those. Those are my favorite donuts in the world, but I can never find them anymore. But insert your thumb here into the little loop and then pull straight. So now you'll see that it comes apart like this, right? So you have this one and this one. And then what you're going to want to do is just gently let it unfurl. So you'll notice when you pull that apart. So it's going to be like this at first. When you let this go, there'll be a natural little loop here that you're going to want to stick your fingers in, and it'll automatically just unfurl for you. So let's say you drop it and you're like, oh gosh, it's messed up. Now I'm never going to be able to figure it out. Just kind of move it around a little bit and you'll see that it naturally wants to open up in the way that it's supposed to. So now you have the yarn opened up. You're going to look for these little ties. So these little ties are called butterfly ties, and they're called butterfly ties for a reason. And I'm going to show you what they do. So what they do is they go around. So you'll see they're tied right here. So it's a length of thread that weaves itself in and out of the different sections of this hand-dyed yarn. So you'll see it's separated into 3 sections. And what this does is it keeps everything from getting twisted in on itself when it's in this format. So you'll notice here's one, and generally there'll be about 1, 2, or 3. I've never seen more than 3, but there very possibly could be more than 3. But in most of my hand-dyed skeins, they're around 3 butterfly ties. So there's one. I'm going to move on down. Here's another one. I'm going to move on down, and here's another one. Perfect. All right, so we've located all 3. So I can put the little ties going this way if I want. I don't necessarily need to. So now that we've identified our butterfly ties, now we're going to start cutting this. So before we start cutting, there's one thing that we need to do. We need to figure out how we're going to stabilize this, because if we cut these and pull them off and then try to manipulate the yarn, we're probably going to end up with a big mess, and that's where a lot of people go wrong, right? So there's multiple ways you can do this. You can put it across the back of a chair. You can have someone hold their hands out like this and stretch it across the length of the yarn and hold the yarn that way for you while you wind. But if you're alone and you don't really have an extra pair of hands, that's not going to be very beneficial. So what I suggest is using the back of a chair. That's going to be the easiest way. So I'm going to go ahead and get set up to put this on the back of the chair before I cut anything. So that way I know that my yarn is stable and it's ready to work with. All right, never mind all this, okay? We're just going to ignore all this because I don't need any judgment about this. I know it's chaotic. It's not as chaotic as it used to be, but it's still chaotic. Okay. So what I like to do is take my yarn in my hand like this, right? I've got my thumb looped through one end, got my other thumb looped through the other, and I'm just gonna pull it like this. Just, that helps to get everything situated where I want it to be. Then I'm going to take it and I'm going to drape it over the back of this chair, just like that. Let it go. So now I'm going to find my first butterfly tie, and I'm going to take my scissors, snip it. Snip it as close to the end of that little knot as you can. So see how close I got to that? I'll do that again for you on another one. And then take the tie and pull. Now, I want to give you a little bit of advice here, and please watch me all the way through this before you start doing anything, because 3 ties, one of them is different. So that's one. Here's another one. So I'm going to get really close to the end of that little knot here, and I'm just going to snip. So now I'm going to look for the end of this here, and I'm going to pull it. See, notice how this one didn't pull all the way out? This one's still attached. That means this is your starting point. So we found the starting point butterfly tie. So I'm going to just drop it here because I still have one more butterfly tie to remove. So let's go ahead and remove this one. We know this one isn't going to be the starting point. Snip close to the tie here. Grab the end, pull it out. So now we have a free thread here. Let's go back to the beginning here where we had the starting thread. So now we've got a thread coming from the right. We've got a thread coming from the left. So what we're going to do is grab one of them, it doesn't matter, and make sure it's not twisted around itself. So I'm grabbing this one that's running from the left, and I'm making sure that it's free. So you can see here that the yarn lays on top. Perfect, that's what I want. So now I'm going to take this, I'm going to start wrapping it around my finger, and then I'm just going to follow all the way down. And you might get to a point right here. You see how it looks like there's a little bit of a knot? Just take it and untwist it. That's just from the initial butterfly tie. It won't be like that the whole way through. So let's keep on, and we're just going to keep pulling this thread. And here we go. If you come across any overlap, just go ahead and pull it over. And then just keep winding. Now you can see here how the chair really helps. So it's going to keep it separated for you. And I'm just letting the yarn come up into my hand and just feeding it around this little ball here. And it's doing its own little thing. You don't want to go too fast, because if you start zooming through this, you're going to end up with a pile of yarn at your feet and a big old spaghetti knot mess to undo. So you want to make sure this yarn stays stable here on the back of this chair. All right, we're just going to keep balling this up. And see how easy that is? When I first started doing this, I would lay this in my lap without any structure whatsoever. And how many times I ended up with a spaghetti mess was just insane. And then I figured out, wait, if I put this across the back of a chair, it maintains its structure. And then I can go ahead and wind it up to my heart's content. without losing my ever-loving mind. Now, I haven't done it this way in forever because I'm in hand-dyed yarn world so much that I have a Swift. So if you don't know what a Swift is, I'll put a link in the description below for the one that I use, but there's so many variations that you can get that makes this process so much easier. So if you plan on staying in hand-dyed yarn world for longer than like a hank or two, I highly suggest you get a Swift and a ball winder. It's like 40 bucks for a combo. And it's 40 bucks well spent because this is taking me much longer than it actually should. Normally this would take me like 2 minutes on a Swift and ball winder. So I highly, highly suggest looking into that because it eliminates so much of the nonsense. But if you're in a pinch and you don't really want to, you know, invest the money just yet on something like that, then this is your go-to method. So just keep rolling. You might have to adjust the orientation of this every once in a while just to get it like back where you need it. But just keep rolling, rolling, rolling. And that's honestly the quickest way to get these balled up. Now, if you're doing a fingering weight skein, oh my goodness, keep you in my thoughts because those things are 437 something yards. You're going to be doing this for a minute. So this was only 80 something. I think it was 80 yards or maybe 60 yards. So that was 60 yards and it took me a little bit of time. So you can tell it's going to be a little bit of an adventure trying to get this done manually. So if you have a fingering weight skein or you just don't want to sit here and do this, look at an umbrella, look at a Swift. Or not an umbrella, it's called an umbrella Swift. Look at a Swift and a ball winder, and that's going to save you so much time. I hope that helped you turn this into this. If it did, make sure to hit the like button, leave me a comment, let me know what you think, and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you very much. Bye.